So when you go aboard a ship that you used to be very familiar with and was not a big deal to you, you used to pilot those ships, you used to be living in bodies that lasted a lot longer than the ones on Earth, and you forgot that a long time ago. So when you grow up here, and the Anna personality, brain and personality and body has none of this experience or training growing up, then as an adult, you have to awaken or recover all that. Not what you had on this planet since you were born, because you didn't have any of that experience here in this life. But awakening what you know to be true and you had experience about in long epochs of time beyond this earth. That's more important. And how many people on earth are actually trying to find that out, do you think? Very few. They don't even think that way. They wonder if there's life on other planets. And when can the U.S. Space Force go out and conquer another world and start mining its resources? That's never, ever going to take place. Not now. Not 5,000 years from now. Because the fact is, space is already occupied, just in the physical universe, by far more advanced races than us. And we're not going to be over there stealing their property and fighting it over with China and Russia. This is never going to happen. There is no space future for this planet that way. Part of real disclosure will make this apparent to leaders and religious leaders on this planet. Most of them are terrified of finding this out because it means they'll have to change. Their religions will change. Their political systems will change. And they like the status quo. They attach themselves to things out of fear. Whether it's a president, they have fear of losing the next election, or fear of Russia or China, or fear of war, or fear of this, or fear of that. And unfortunately, they're making their decisions based upon that. And so the world remains like it is. For now.
We are not going to post this one. You're talking about politics.
No, it's not that political. It's just people on Earth need to change by letting go of fear, and they don't know how to do it. Political leaders, I didn't single any one leader out. Political leaders or religious leaders also, for the most part, make decisions based on subconscious, negative, fearful influences. Could be a fear of the devil. Here's a good one. You might go to hell if you don't things just right. That's a good one. And a lot of people are very much afraid of that. They put more energy into fearing the negative nature of evil beings than they put in respecting all life and loving all life. Many of them are very devout and very dedicated, but they're still suffering from a lot of misdirected fear. The planet is full of it, and that's why it is like it is. This is just true for all people, in all religions, in all politics. Whether a person's an atheist or believe in God or don't, the way the multidimensional creation works as a teacher, the one sound, the hue behind it all, works with everybody in exactly the same way. It is a co-creator with us. It is one power. When we discover how to imagine and work with it properly, it speeds up our evolution. It takes us on an upward spiral that cannot be reversed, which is the good thing. Because people on Earth would drop off that spiral in a heartbeat. They get frightened. You've seen it yourself. They're going in a good direction and they have to go away for a while because they're afraid. They're afraid they'll have to change too much. Well, somebody once asked, who was it? I was talking to some master and he says the only thing you'll ever have to give up in your life, the only thing anybody really has to give up completely, and that's not anything else they want in life, is fear. It's artificial and it's implanted subconsciously. That's the one thing people need to give up, because then they have no negative influences over their ability to imagine, or to allow the hue to work through them, or to have it to take you far places, to the tree of life or Oceania, across the void, Satnam's room, take a drink out of his fountain, go sit in a white chair, get up in the sword, get a sword above your head and hold it up, all that stuff. These are the kinds of things the Atma can do. They're not the kinds of things a human body on Earth can do. The human body on Earth stays made of matter in this plane on this planet. Unless a ship can take you to another world, and then you're on another world with that body, with other people with bodies, in the physical universes on that planet. And there are trillions of them. How many of those do you need to experience before you realize you understand how that works? How many lives do you have to live playing the body game on all these worlds before something else in us begins to surface? When something else begins to surface that way, like it's done in you, you are forever changed. Permanently. It cannot be reversed. When the hue starts taking over the instruction of your life, and you are co-creatively, cooperatively, and in agreement with it doing that, then it begins to guide you in a spiral onward and upward, back home. This is what it does. Me, I just kind of facilitate these things. I help people get connected to that omnipresent energy they've been made to forget. They're afraid of it. They're afraid to be in front of the Supreme Being, whatever they think that is, when they don't know what it is. And they don't think they're worthy or capable of have the intelligence to speak with such a power. Oh my God, the great being in the high plane up there on a big throne. They're afraid if they say the wrong thing, he'll stick a pitchfork in their little fanny and send them to the devil. See?
Why anyone will be afraid of the energy that sustains them?
Because
That
they're not aware of that energy sustaining them anymore. They fear knowing it. Implants make people afraid to know. That's what they do. They're like threats. You're going to be eaten alive. We'll bite your hands and fingers off if you try to go here. They're artificial. The ones that mostly keep people bound to reincarnating on Earth are artificial. They aren't part of our being. Somewhere in galactic history, before a person's born here, something is done to them to put them here with no memory. And you want to wake that up, I think. You're safe.
Yeah,
You have protection. You have protection. The little bad reptilians and grays can't come near you anymore, and they never will again. That's a done deal. You have the hue working with you, and it is master over all lower dimensional things. It is the one power that supports those types of beings, and it can simply deny them power to come near you. That's what it does. Without that, you wouldn't stand a chance. So, when we first met, one of the things I did at that conference that you weren't there was send out the hue for all those people. And it did something to them. It was way out, not in my control. It wasn't my power. But connections were made for them for the long term to come out of this amnesia they're in. Sooner or later, maybe not this life, but shortly after. Because it works that way. It's concerned about you as the beautiful Atma. It's not so much concerned about that body you have being immortalized forever. That's possible, but you have to ask yourself if you really want that. If you were awake enough to run that body as an immortalized body, then it would appear to be about 35 to 40 maybe, and it would stay that way. The telomeres on your DNA would not shrink when your cells divide. But that's just a physical body. It's not who you are. So as long as you're aware of all this good stuff when you do it, then you can do it. I wish I had the authority to tell spaceship pilots and captains of scout craft to come here and pick Annabelle Bow up whenever I wave my little magic wand. An ambassador does not have such power. However, an ambassador can put in a good word for someone, and maybe they can schedule something like that when you're being involved in it will be beneficial for the entire Hue expansion ray itself in some way. So it
Well,
has to be beneficial for more than you just getting a spaceship, right? Then they
I'm not, I'm not looking for a special spaceship ship right. I'm looking for removal, primary removal implant with purpose, with responsibility, and with
they know that about you, Anna, but it can't be removed on Earth. You can't even get secondary implants removed on Earth. There are people in Thailand using my work, watching Perry's videos, charging people thousands of dollars right now to pretend to remove for free secondary implants in order to charge them a lot of money for other courses. Perry brought that to my attention. I said, don't worry about it. You can't do anything about it. Those people are not honest. They're despicable people, really. They're using things they don't understand. They don't even know what it means, much less where it's located or how to remove them. And they're claiming they can do that on Earth. This is not possible at all. When we go outside of Earth's atmosphere, that's where secondary implants were removed from you. Not here in the atmosphere of Earth, not in your cabin. You had to put your little body to sleep and go up there, and that's where it's done, because they're implanted in the energy field that surrounds the Atma. The body, it has an energy field around it. It's like an electromagnetic field, people call the aura. And it's measurable with certain electronic equipment. You can feel it, you can see it out here. And the same thing is around you as the Atma, hovering near that body, probably up near the ceiling of your cabin, so you get a good view of you and look out through the walls of the cabin and see Mount Shasta, and you can look in space and imagine being around Turellian. The next instant, you're out in space around Turellian. And your body remains here just fine, safe and protected. Everything's breathing, heart's working, lungs working, blood circulating. It's not a problem. You know how to leave that body and go far places every night when you put that body to sleep. What this work does is help to provide the connective experience for people to begin to remember more of who they are and bring back more of where they go each night. It doesn't mean you have to wake up in the morning with a full, vivid, colored dream about where you've been. Some of those dreams are on your way back to the astral plane aren't worth bringing back here. They're scattered and nuts. But others are. What's up?
yeah, but I can give Ambassador Torelian and Master Sanam and the associates permission for them to pick us tonight to have our removal in primary implants done for the good of all life on Earth.
You can ask, and then it's their decision, not yours, not mine.
It's okay.
Yeah, it can't be up to us because, number one, we're on Earth, and our values about what we think is important and when aren't always aligned with the hue itself. It's more selfish, self-centered. We can't help it because we want to be free and we want to have what we want. So does everybody else, but everybody else on Earth is continuing to misdirect their imagination and their feelings to trap themselves here because they feel like it's some kind of security. Knowing that that security is going to be taken from them one day when the body stops working, they don't care. They just want the false security because it isn't real. Security is not in physical bodies. Security is in the Atma awake that cannot be damaged, cannot be attacked, cannot be destroyed. Hydrogen bomb wouldn't hurt it. That's the security. Being stable in the omnipresent power, the hue, floating in it, traveling in it, being part of it, that's security. Bodies, only if you can master them and control them to be secure, so they can run higher faculties of the Atma through them. The whole point of this body you have, that I have, is the DNA is structured so that it technically you should be able to channel higher faculties of the Atma through it. This can't happen if you're not aware of those higher faculties. The being has to be awake, and it has to enlighten the being, the body on earth. The personality on earth needs to have enlightenment brought to it from beyond earth. And everybody knows that when they look up at the stars at night. They know it's out there, not here. They don't dare say so, because as soon as you start talking about outer space, you get blacklisted, and you get the cold shoulder from your friends and family, because it threatens their security blanket, which is not real, it's false. But it threatens that they may have to wake up and change. And the implant says, no, you better not do that. You already know what's in your primary implant. We went there once, remember it? It was not pretty. Not a fun experience. But it's one of many you've had when you've had bodies that have died or been killed or thrown off a cliff or whatever happens to them. Die of old age, die as a child being born, get born again, all those things. Those things you've done many, many times. And you're still here. And we're exploring this together. What is the most important thing for you, Anna? The single most important thing you want to accomplish? It's a hard question. What do you suppose the very single most important thing is that you want to experience now with what you know?
Total freedom of knowing the knowing that we are not, we are just free beings to co-create with whatever ways we want, no stuck to some system in a small area in the universe.
Well, the difficulty and the challenge with that being free is that total responsibility goes with it. The two are entwined, which means that whatever you imagine, it has to be in harmony with the one power, or you're stepping on other people's toes to get what you want.
No,
we don't want to do that. You can get what you want, but it has to fit into the greater goodwill of all life, the one power. So we learn how to master ourselves to be in harmony with it, to co-create with it. So when we imagine something, it manifests, but it's good for all life, not just us. This is important.
Yeah, but we're gonna help others. We are helping others.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We are. So it's good what we're doing. You don't have to figure out how to do that later. You already know how to do that. You're doing it now on this journey. So when you close your eyes at some
I
point,
would like to have the cabin to help others, because this is a beautiful place that can change others. Just to be here, Scott. You will understand once you are here.
no, I already understand that. I don't have to be there to know that. Coming there is more fun because then I get to see and be with you, and that's fine. But I already know it. Be like me being in a place here, going up to Mount Shasta. It's the energy from the mountain channeled through the mountain that is uplifting for people. It's not the building. It's not the city. It's not a manufactured home in a park. It's none of that. Those are just things. The energy of the hue is what uplifts people wherever you go. Some places have a higher volume of it flowing through them to support parts of the world, of the universe, of the planet, or, and these are like little vortexes that lead to other realities. So that you can come through those doorways and sustain planes and dimensions that are on a slower time rate of molecular existence than higher ones. And it's all set up. We don't have to create setting it up. It's set up and maintained. That is maintained by the silent mentors. All of that. They aren't beings that people on earth can understand. I know them and meet with them, but I don't understand them. How they do what they do, even though I know what it is they do. What's the matter? Are you looking at something?
Perdón. I just killed a spider, sorry.
Drop down from the ceiling, huh?
Sí.
Well, make him into a hummingbird. Tell him to go to Prajapati and be a hummingbird, and then
Oh, a
that way,
purple.
that way you've helped him out, and he doesn't have to be a spider anymore.
Sorry, friends.
Instead of dropping from the ceiling, he gets to fly around and eat nectar. That's pretty cool.
That's much better than being
Gets to
spider.
fly in the air with very fast little wings, and he gets to hover like a helicopter backwards and forwards, sideways, and dart away at high speed. It's pretty cool what hummingbirds can do.
I just converted.
They can hover just like a helicopter. Back up like a helicopter. Go this way. Go around in circles. They're cute little buggers. I love them. When I see a spider in a sink or a tub and they can't get out, I get a glass, I put them in it, and throw them outside. Hey, they can't get any food in the tub inside anyway. They get outside, they can eat mosquitoes at least, and I like that.
I didn't have the time to get a glass and do all of that.
So at least you did something constructive than just squash something.
I converted in a hummingbird.
But that's because the hue flows through you. You have the privilege of sending that creature onto a higher form. This is what we're supposed to be doing on planets like this, Anna. We're supposed to be custodians and caretakers for life that is not as evolved. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And people on Earth are not doing that at all. For the most part, they're not doing it whatsoever. They don't think about it, so they don't act appropriately. When you close your eyes and imagine someone you're grateful they're in your life, a person, place, or a thing. It could be a beautiful flower, a vase full of flowers, or it could be a bird or a view of Mount Shasta. Some masterful being you've met somewhere, maybe in our travels. But it makes you smile inside when you imagine whatever that is. Now this shuts off the function of your physical eyes to the outer world and turns on the consciousness of the Atma being able to flow through into this world to bring enlightenment back to this body. When I begin to guide these things, I set these up by sending out the hue onto various dimensional levels. And I do this in harmony and cooperation with beings like Ambassador Trellian or Satnam, Agam Purusha, Etin, Din, Ramu, Pelham, many others, Galactic Alliance personnel that have ships stationed in our solar system to protect Earth people from annihilating themselves. That's their basic function here. Underway is also this secondary and primary implant removal kind of thing. That goes considerably beyond, Anna, just telling people extraterrestrials exist. That's physical plane stuff. The beings that come here are also capable of helping Atmas be free of implants. They know what that is. And they run physical bodies that don't age like ours on Earth. They aren't like Earth humans. They don't live the way Earth humans live. Not hardly at all. So these are the types of beings that if they land and a man and woman about 36 get out of a ship in nice single flowing silken garment of some kind or something comfortable, and they say hi to you, the problem is subconscious implants kick in and a person runs in terror. They wouldn't even get on a ship if it landed. I'm telling you something very important. I know there's a lot of people that think they can just smoke a joint, call people down and smoke joints with people from other planets and they'll give them spaceship rides. This is not true. Not at all. They don't have time for that foolishness, and they will not deal with people along those lines. They don't have time for it. There's not enough ships out in space to give everybody a spaceship ride that wants it, but that do not wish to do the work to really recover or wake up. They don't have time for that. So they have time for people who are meeting with them and being aware of them. Going outside of Earth's negatively impacted atmosphere is very important. Everything that was ever done by people to people in the history of this planet we call Earth, going back 65 million years since the dinosaurs were made extinct, a history erased from the consciousness of people, suppressed subconsciously, a history people on Earth were all involved in and don't dare remember, because their lives lost and gone did not end pleasantly, and reluctant to try to remember such horrific experiences, like a planet blowing up, for instance. All those things and deeds done of an evil nature, negative nature, or harmful or sadistic nature is recorded in the atmosphere that surrounds planet Earth. It does not leave that atmosphere. It is kept within it because it was created by the beings that are stuck on Earth. It's their responsibility to get rid of that stuff one day. They're not going to be able to do it alone. They're going to have to be awake enough to ask beings from other worlds, come here and get rid of that stuff. They have the technology and even the spirituality to understand how to do it. People on Earth are not yet ready to ask for that kind of help. We're endeavoring to get them ready to do that. The Sage Agenda book, which has special techniques in the back, was first published without those techniques. It took 5 versions of the book to get it to where it is now, over a number of years. The glossary of characters and terms is in the back, and also the very special techniques section, which works with the first sound behind all creation, the omnipresent hue, derived from the first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight in languages on Earth, and people don't know it. When it's sent out with the imagination, telepathically or vocally, it makes a connection to the one power that is behind and supporting all that is. It does it directly. The more people do it, the more this one power becomes a master teacher to train or retrain or awaken people to let go of all their fears in order to have the freedom you seek. We all seek it. In order to have that freedom, fear cannot be part of it in any way, shape, or form. Because the omnipresent power that's out in space, that makes up the predominance of all that exists between things that float in it, like galaxies, is not nuclear, atomic, or molecules or atoms. It is an energy that existed before those things were brought into creation. It is not physical bodies. It's not DNA. The being you are that runs that body called Anna is spherical in shape. It is what people on Earth refer to as soul, without knowing what it really looks like, how it's structured, what it's capable of doing. We are multidimensional capable beings. This means we can move between dimensions on the hue as a carrier wave without the limits of speed, time and space, or gravity involved. When you're playing on a planet's atmosphere, gravity is involved, inertia, centrifugal and centripetal forces. Centripetal, however you pronounce it. When bodies are involved, the same applies to bodies unless there's an anti-gravitic field around an object like a craft you're in, and then it moves around at high speed, making 90-degree turns and going faster than the speed of light. And the occupants do not feel this inside. There is no limit to the speed of light, none whatsoever. This is one of the things that traps people in materiality on Earth and keeps them bound to the planet, ignorant of life beyond it. Fear. If you want to control a mass of people, make sure they live in fear. Reinforce fear. Promote and advertise it. Because it just keeps the implants that are subconsciously placed in the energy fields of beings actively affecting their nervous system. So you see, they don't escape. When we learn how to stop that and turn it off, which is what these journeys are for, then you begin to recover your higher faculties that have been dormant for perhaps 1 billion years, millions of lives. Bodies come and go. You remain. This is the real security. When I do these guided journeys, I don't do it from the imagination coming from my brain. That's quite impossible. And I do not claim to remove them on this planet, because the fact is, no being on this earth, no matter who they think they are, what they're doing, has the capability to remove them on earth. That cannot be done in a negatively impacted atmosphere. So we make our journeys out in space to meet with friends, master teachers, Galactic Alliance representatives that have the technology and understanding to remove such things. They do not use money. It is illegal off-world. The beings I work with do not charge it. Beings on Earth have to, because they're brainwashed to use it. And everybody does. There's no money or gold behind it. There's no value behind any money on Earth. It's just paper and digits in a computer. This is a fact. I'm not making this up. Beings that have learned on other worlds to get rid of these kinds of systems did it after a long struggle. And they did it because it was the only way they could regain who they really were, what they were made to forget. So when they're awake, they have a motivation. The motivation for them is to assist others to recover this. And you're still out in space, so stop fiddling around. I mean, like, stop fiddling around. You can open your eyes if you want, look around, but then you have to close them and go back to where you are to continue the journey. It's the way it works. And it's a matter of self-discipline as well, and awareness. This applies to me as well as it does to you or anyone else. When you use daydreaming, which you know how to do very well, so does everybody on Earth really. They don't realize what they're doing when they use it or where it's coming from, but they'll daydream being at a beach, being in a retreat, going camping, being in the mountains, flying in an airplane, going to another country. In our case, we imagine going to other worlds and higher dimensions because we can. We've always had this ability. It's not something you have to develop and evolve to learn later on in some other life. It's something you need to remember. Because it isn't something that's new to you. When you first cross paths with thinking and imagining multidimensional, thinking of other worlds, experiencing connecting with beings from other planets, this must be done many times in great depth before you can actually get on a ship and be with them. Because you wouldn't be invited to go on such a journey unless it was productive and constructive. Period. And this means that our going on ships means it's going to be beneficial to all life if they bring us aboard, because we have some co-creative mission or purpose in working with them. Common sense, very practical. How can you ask beings who don't think negative thoughts on their own planet growing up work with beings who are saturated with such things? That's the real problem or challenge for them. First, they have to know how to turn off these motivating subconscious implants that made people fear and think in negative ways. And then a being can start to stretch their wings, and they can begin to fly beyond the earth as they do every night when their body's put to sleep anyway, except they don't remember. They've never been trained to bring back to this world what it is we do and where we go when we're out of our bodies every night. Could you imagine what Earth would be like if all the people knew what they were doing and could bring back awareness of it? Filter out the negative and only bring that which is good and beneficial and uplifting. And if everybody did that, which is really just normal to beings from other planets, many, then Earth would be different overnight. So you imagine yourself looking down on your body from the ceiling of your cabin. As an Atma, you can just look down and see it. It's just, what would it look like? Well, you just imagine what it would look like. Oh, like that. And you can look out through the walls of the cabin and see the entire countryside around. You know what it looks like. You know what Mount Shasta looks like and the difference in the valley between the trees from your back porch. Piece of cake. You know how to imagine going to the store and coming back. And so your body follows where you imagine. When we leave the body intact, on automatic, breathing and in a sleep state, meaning the brain's really, for the most part, turned off, except for the things that run the body and keep it alive, then we can go through the roof of the cabin and find yourself in space. Still a spherical being made of energy that's not made of matter, doesn't need to breathe oxygen, doesn't need to eat or go to the bathroom. It cannot be destroyed by nuclear bombs or any kind of weapon. There's a field of energy around you, the Atma, hovering in space around Turelian. And it looks like the electromagnetic field that surrounds planet Earth. You can see it by Googling it and going online, looking at many images of this. 0-point toroidal field, electromagnetic field. This is the hue as it circles a being in a structure. And its points within that field and in the points within the Atma itself, these different teardrop-shaped faculties on different levels that make contact with the omnipresent intelligent, the one power. If I look through one particular teardrop in the blue layer, it's going to take me to a specific planet in a specific dimension. I look through it, see what it looks like, and the whole Atma is then transported instantly to that location. Time and space have nothing to do with it. The speed of light has nothing to do with it. When you're working with spacecraft, they do have certain limits in how fast they can go and how they can maneuver. And there are different levels of races of beings that have craft that can travel between galaxies very quickly. It's not for all the races in the Milky Way that do this. Many have ships that can travel, say, from Norexilum beyond the Pleiades to Earth in a day, 500 light years away. Some of these ships can travel millions of light years in a few seconds, because light years are not limited by what people on Earth think of as the speed of light. They came up with that by looking with their physical eyes and measuring instruments and figured, okay, that's what physical eyes can see. That's as fast as it goes. Only to physical perceptions. But there is no actual limit to it. It does not take billions of years for light from other galaxies to get here. That's another thing they have completely wrong. They think this way because they've imposed self-limitations upon physics, what they think is matter. They know there is energy behind all matter, which they call the God particle, but they don't understand it. It's just waking up on Earth. They don't know how to work with it. And it's mandatory to work with it properly. You do not produce antigravitic ships. You cannot traverse interdimensional portals to go far beyond the speed of light unless you can respect and work with this energy properly. It's already been disclosed through Congress with people they've interviewed that are highly classified that over 80 different races are coming to this planet now. And the Earth people are being kept completely in the dark about this. There's two things that keep them in the dark about it. For safety's sake, beings that come here have to keep themselves shielded technologically so that people on Earth can't see them or detect them, for the most part. Because Earth people are destructive, fear-ridden, and dangerous. Not just common people, but governments as well. Try to capture or imprison or dissect or experiment on such beings for their own fear. This is not the way they function. The other aspect that keeps people from knowing this is the fact that they have implants terrorizing holographic images with sight, taste, touch, smell, sound, tactile sensation, motion, depth, dimensionality that are out in that electromagnetic field that surrounds the being and your body. And when you look through it and turn one of these on, it says, don't you go out here and know this or we'll kill you. It's subconscious. And the being just goes off and has another donut or goes in another direction. They can't make the leap. They can't make the change. So when we're out in space around Turelian, we're being prepared to deal with this implant issue. But more than that, we're going on journeys with your secondary, what's left of them, and primary implant shut off. Turned off by the assistance of beings from the Galactic Alliance and some master teachers that know how to do this. It gives you the freedom to float in space in the pure hue and remember. Begin to recall things. Begin to recover things. It is the experience of these journeys, Anna, that does the most good. Secondary implant removal is important. That takes an hour. And then once they're gone forever, and then you have more mastery over what's in the primary implant. So when it turns on, you have a choice then to simply take your energy and attention away from it and turn it off, or keep feeding it energy to keep it actively influencing you. An implant like a primary implant gets its energy to run on your nervous system from you. So beings are tricked into giving it energy, aren't they? And you know this as well as I do. They're fooled, hoodwinked, scallywagged into doing it. Habit, bad habit, long bad habit. Very bad boy, bad habit. Spank that little bum. That's a bad habit. Well, that's the way it is for people on Earth. But they're not destined to stay like this. You look at Turelian, he's 18 foot tall. I will describe him because I know how to do this. People could listen to this video and copy it and try to charge money for it and all that, but they're not going to be able to do it. They're not trained. They're not authorized. They're not connected to the beings I am, no matter what they think. They just aren't. They would not do what they're doing on Earth now, claiming they know how to do this kind of thing from my work, if they walked even a year in my shoes. Because what I had to go through in order to do this was more than they could have survived going through it. It would have killed them. Their own implants would have done that. So this had to be removed over a period of time and dropped by my actions and help from friends from out of town, from off-world. Many friends. And it took most of this lifetime to recover what was done to me. And then I had a choice. I can help others get free of this, or I can be in revenge against those that did it to me. Those that did it to me are no longer in our solar system and are not allowed to return. And they are being changed on their own worlds as we speak. There has not been any little gray abductions of the people talk about online and on the internet for 25 years. There's no reptilians in bases underground on this planet. People sharing that are peddling fear. and it does not do any constructive good for anyone. These beings that were once underground and in certain bases classified have been removed, taken outside of our solar system. This was not done by classified people or governments on planet Earth. It was done, fortunately, by those who are not from Earth, in order to protect people from Earth from annihilating themselves. This is very simple stuff. I don't know of any beings that I work with and that I'm authorized to work with that co-creatively work with me. I don't know any of them that work in ways like people on Earth work with each other. They don't work that way. They're not from Earth. They didn't grow up in societies on their planets with governments that lie to people for whatever justified reason. And they don't have this problem of so many religions that are fighting each other for followers on Earth. Competition. This does not exist off-world for the most part. This is the greater heaven, the greater God that people claim they're praying to every day. Bit hypocritical if you pray to something like that and you can't respect life that's out in the greater heavens, out in the other worlds and higher dimensions, higher heavens. One of the requirements of enlightenment is that you respect all life in the creation. It is required, or people do not gain back who they are, their freedom, because they can't be trusted with it. Simple as that. The Hue supports all life, all religions, all politics, and all planets and all places in a grand multidimensional creation. It does not determine what people choose to do with the one power that supports them. It's a co-creator. If people imagine negative things out of fear, it will create them. If they imagine positive things for their family and themselves, it will create those too. People are trapped on Earth in a mix of both. And it grounds their energy in half to the Earth. One of the things these journeys accomplish out here in space is to help you get those opposites that are focused on separately, negative and positive, good and bad, and put them in harmony, circling around each other, so a greater energy can come through them and manifest things without creating opposites that oppose each other. The imagination I'm referring to out here in space is not made up in your brain on Earth. There is no ability in a human brain, in the brain cells, to project a motion picture on a screen so you can see what you're imagining. That is not what people are doing when they're imagining something. And it's not being done from their body, their personality, or their brain. It is being done from the Atma hovering above that body. It's white core looking into the omnipresent white golden light that makes up most of the energy of creation that little galaxies float in. And it connects to that. It is a co-creator with us. Trillian's 18 foot tall. Long blonde hair to his shoulders, big blue eyes, crystal clear, slightly pointed ears like an elf. Kind of a simple gown on, bare feet. He looks to be about 36, very mature looking, stately. But the body he's showing us here as a guide is a central focus around which we circle, or we're in a circle around him, is done so that we don't get scattered out into the phenomena of the physical universe, trillions of planets, the emotional or astral universe where motion takes you off track in this direction and that direction, mostly negative. It keeps things focused so that we can gain some real benefit from this journey. This is what he does. He brings energy through him from the Atma plane where Satnam is, above the void known to certain esoteric groups on Earth. And he brings it here, moves it through him, puts a field of energy around us. It's the same as the white golden light that surrounds us in space. It isn't black. Not when you're out here looking at it as an Atma. It's a white golden light everywhere. Planets and moons and suns and stars and galaxies float in it. It's an omnipresent spirit, if you want to use that word. A living, conscious one power. It is only one power. And we as Atmas are comprised of this very same energy. Our original departure place, where we came from, is far above the void, up in the higher realities, in a plane called the ocean of sound and light. And it is our destiny to return there. Sooner or later, one lifetime or another, in some place, the omnipresent hue will cross the paths of a person seeking. And when it does, when they are beginning to have the courage to want to know again, really know, it begins to instruct them in ways that it has not done before. It begins to guide them in an upward spiral, gradually, carefully, practically, back to the source they came from, so that they can contribute their unique individuality into that source. It is that return that contributes change for the better in the multidimensional creation. Our return is what this source is looking for. This is not something you can do just by believing it. Faith is a good place to start, but you want to go from that into direct experience of knowing what it is you pray to. Experiencing it directly, because we actually can. The more advanced spacefaring races understand this. They know their ships have great, wonderful capabilities, but they're limited. For instance, Galactic Alliance ships do not cross into the astral plane, the next major division or dimension above the physical universe. They have to go to their astral body that's living a life there and run ships from there, and so forth. There are many races that are in the Galactic Alliance that can do this. Their craft can travel between 144 parallel dimensions, successively higher time rate of molecules, like layers. 144 planet Earths that are all a little different, little higher vibration as you go up. Their technology allows them to move between these planes. So Galactic Alliance is made up of worlds and planetary and spacefaring races in all of those levels. Their ships do not cross the barrier between the physical and astral plane. The only race I know of that is most ancient, 12-stranded DNA, is the Say race, like Ambassador Trellian. 18 to 25 feet tall. We get our Earth human DNA from them originally, long ago. They had ships that were capable of traversing both the astral and physical dimensions, and they seeded and planted life in all of it and brought them up to spacefaring capability and then vanished into the background to see what we would do with it. I think it's very apparent what we've done with it. If you use Earth as an example, it's not pretty. Fortunately, they have returned. They've gone through a consciousness change now, and they have a responsibility to help younger races evolve without destroying themselves. That's the only reason Earth has still got living life on it, or it'd be gone now. Trellian is an ambassador to the Galactic Alliance, located on planet Zetronomy 1 near the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy. It is not a federation. If I don't say this and don't state it, people will never know it. They won't look further. They won't go deeper. Real disclosure, which has begun, means everyone on Earth will not only know extraterrestrials exist, but that they're far more advanced and not destructive for the most part as people on Earth are. And people on Earth can be humble enough to respectfully request the technology and help of such beings, they'll be landing here. And where Earth will change dramatically. But this means, spiritually speaking, people on Earth will have to be true to the grandeur, the more wondrous source they pray to. Not by faith alone, but by awakening direct experience of it. This is important. This process that has begun in what is called the Hue expansion ray, it's an energy of intelligence running through the omnipresent spirit people pray to. It is different than it's ever been before. And it's moving through creation from the upper realities through the void and down here and right through our solar system and right through the planet Earth on its way elsewhere. It cannot be controlled, manipulated, dominated, or possessed by any being. We are made of the same thing, so it passes in and around and through us. The more conscious we are of doing this, the more productive and uplifting and enlightened our lives become. Turellian's not the only one out here. When you look around, you can see the planet Earth with its polar ice caps, the barren moon with meteor craters over it, no atmosphere, circling the Earth but not turning on its axis at all, which is a big problem for Earth people, and the sun in the distance. You can see billions of stars that make up the Milky Way galaxy, clearly floating in this other golden white light that appears black in Hubble Space Telescope images, but it isn't. To the Atma, who can see into higher frequencies than the limits of human eyesight. Once we become conscious of that, we can begin to move in it, travel through it. If I imagine going to Norexilum, a planet I came from before being stuffed into a body against my will when it was 3 on this life, then the Hue can take me there. I can be there instantly walking around. If primary implant is controlling you, you can't do that. It has to be turned off. There are beings from the Galactic Alliance that are standing by you, Anna. 2 couples, actually. Those 2 that I've introduced to people on Earth so far. And they make sure your secondary and primary implants are off for this journey. Completely turned off, out of the way, done. Kaput. Das vidanya, arrivederci, so long, you're off. So you need to maintain this understanding that you're free from those influences for now. This is something they provide as a service. It is very uplifting to them, especially to help someone be free of implants, subconscious nonsense. When they remove them and seal or fill, cover over whatever hole is left, the energy is pure. The energy around you is clear, so you can see into the universe and decide to go somewhere and not have it interfered with. The primary implant remains. That can only be taken out off-world by technicians and people not from Earth. Such technology is not on Earth at this time. But people can go off-world, as we're doing, have secondary implants removed, and go and see what's in the primary implant aboard a particular type of ship. And once they know that, that primary implant doesn't have the influence over a person's life it once did. It becomes a memory. It's no longer subconscious. The rest of it's just bad habits. People have picked up over billions of years in many lives. Most of your lives, Anna, were as an extraterrestrial. Most of your lives were lived out there in higher dimensions, not on planet Earth. You could have thousands of lives here, and that would be a drop in the bucket compared to what you've already done out there. So when we're out in space, we begin to get the sense that we once knew not only how to pilot spaceships and travel between the stars, but that it was common practice, and we were very used to it. It was not a big deal for us, because it isn't a big deal for Galactic Alliance personnel to station their ships throughout our solar system, police it if you will, not to take over Earth or its governments, to keep us from destroying ourselves here. This is the only reason they're here, and to keep tyrant races from coming back to Earth. This is a done deal. This is over. This has been accomplished. Much is underway now. that has never been underway before in the history of the multidimensional creation, specifically regarding planet Earth. I'm sharing this with you as a being free from the Earth's influence out in space around Torelli and other masterful teachers like Master Ramu and Opelum. Opelum, pale blue skin, green eyes, emerald green eyes, coal black hair shiny to his shoulders, slightly pointed ears, about 40ish, slightly grayed temples. He's showing you a body he has on a planet that is mostly covered water on the other side of the galaxy. He's standing there in a circle around Torellian. If you look above him, you'll see a beautiful spherical Atma hovering there, manifesting this physical looking form that appears identical to the one he has on the planet, except it's made of pure energy. So both the sphere hovering above that body and the body he's showing you are him. You, Anna, have the same thing hovering above your head, which is you, and you are a body form that looks to be about 36, flawless, beautiful, trim, all that good stuff. And you're showing that to me, and I'm showing you the one I have that looks like Calum, really, in the first book of the Parallel Time Trilogy, The Emerald Doorway. The illustrations are all there, folks. It took a lifetime to create these works, these books, and publish them. They were created co-creatively with friends of mine from off-planet. They are interdimensional doorway openers. Make no mistake about this. That is what they're here for. The technique section in the back of the Say Raise Agenda book on Earth is to help people connect to what we're connected to now and out here with Torellian. The omnipresent one spirit or sound, first word, that's missing from books on Earth, deliberately withheld, cannot be withheld from those who come out here and connect to it. There's no power in creation, positive or negative, that can keep you from going forward if you want to plug into the omnipresent you. It is not my power. I do not possess or control or patent or control the hue. No one can. And if they ever tell you they can, they are in trouble. Because it's the one power that no one can possess. We are already comprised of it. It'd be like trying to possess yourself. It's kind of silly. It's an energy that cannot be grasped with physical arms and legs, or equipment, or devices, or technology, or spaceships. It moves through the whole universe unhindered, supporting everything. I'm going to send out the hue now in a series of levels, and it will make connections with all the planes up to the void beyond the etheric plane. The void is known by certain esoteric groups on Earth who think that is the realm of the Supreme Being. It is not. It is pure hue energy. But it looks like there's nothing in it. There's actually a race of beings there that don't make themselves known to people who pass through that space for the most part. And on the other side of the void is an Atma plane, the realm of Satnam. And there are many planes above that. When we cross that void, there is no matter, energy, space, and time, nor is there planets, moons, and suns, and stars. The beings there manifest land and things for people to walk through, to travel through, but they maintain it. It's an individual responsibility of certain beings to do that. When we go on journeys, we have to start from somewhere outside of the negatively impacted atmosphere of planet Earth. We don't want to be surrounded by beings and things that are unconscious and all the stuff that's recorded in the atmosphere, because it would distract from getting constructive good out of these journeys. Secondary implants, which was brought to the awareness of people of Earth through my work, isn't owned by me. That is technology from the Galactic Alliance, and those beings know how to wield it. People on Earth do not know how to do this. No matter what they say, they cannot. Whatever it is they think they're claiming, they remove it, isn't these. There's a certain respect beings must have for others who are technically and spiritually capable of doing this work. And they are not and were never born on earth. They do not have subconscious minds that can misdirect them. This is why I take people to connect with them and have that work done by those beings, not by me. I'm not the only one sending this out when I do this. Turellian is, Master Ramu, and Opelum, who I described. Ramu is about 6 feet tall, standing on the other side of Turellian in a circle. The atmospherical running this body form he's showing looks to be about 36 as well. Short cropped curly black beard and short cropped curly black hair, swarthy skin, coal black eyes. Looks like he's from Tibet. Maroon colored robe, simple sandals, belt around his waist, holding a 6 foot tall transparent quartz staff, a device. The Ankh symbol for eternal life on top of it, from ancient Egypt. A cross with a vertical oval hole above it. And it's something that he uses to train students to take a journey to the source behind all life, to become a master teacher in their own right. So it is his trademark. He carries it everywhere. Everybody knows him on the higher planes and out among the Galactic Alliance. There are other beings here with us. Some of them are Galactic Alliance personnel who pilot and maintain certain craft, usually scout craft about 30 feet in diameter. They have 4 couples, men and women, on them. 2 will sit in the back, nod their heads down and leave their bodies and come out here and join us. And for Anna, that's a man and a woman, and they are here to maintain your certain negative subconscious influence. Turn them off, keep them off. It's a service they provide. They're happy to do it. There are other beings, but we're going on a journey now, so I will not describe them. Etta and Din are with us. Satnam himself, Agam Purusha, who is a being who runs the raw power of creation, many planes above Satnam's realm, just below the ocean of sound and light. The top silent mentor is here. These are beings little known to most beings in creation. They run the mechanics of creation. They maintain galaxies spinning on their axis. They maintain planets turning on their axis, and moons, suns, and stars, and interdimensional doorways, interdimensional portals between different levels, located in different places on or under the water, on the surface, or in the atmosphere of planet Earth. It's one of the reasons we are not allowed to destroy ourselves in nuclear war, because it would harm life in other worlds through those doorways that we do not have the right on planet Earth to do. And we don't have the right to do it. So beings from beyond Earth are preventing it. Until enough people on Earth don't even want to do that silly crap anymore. And it will stop. There is a tree of life. It's a device, not a physical plane device at all, that exists in what we call the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. That is a place constructed in a parallel dimension between the fifth reality of the Atma, Satnam's realm, means true name, first word, first sound, source manifestation, first one kind of thing. And it's in a plane between the sixth and fifth plane, constructed and maintained by very special beings as a training facility. And it's something that did not exist in the upper worlds in creation until about 9 Earth years ago, maybe a little longer, when it was starting to be constructed. The silent mentors that run the mechanics of creation have 4 teaching facilities there. Master teachers bring students there in order to learn how to create a bridge between the loving nature of a master teacher and the impartial, detached nature of a silent mentor that runs the mechanics of creation. A new order of beings is being brought into existence through this experimental place. And it has to do not with destroying the lower worlds of time and space as been done before, but changing the way they're run so that implants and subconscious perverted misuse of science and life can be permanently neutralized. Therefore, the beings that are unconscious running bodies in the lower worlds can come back to the source, fulfill their destiny, and help co-create things new in a different, better way. It's like saying the Supreme Being is waking up and it's beginning to move in a new direction. It gets that new way from us, returning to it. This is what people do not understand on Earth or most planets, but they're beginning to. When you look up in space, you can see a vortex like an hourglass with a thin, narrow neck, whirling clockwise, appear out of nowhere. It looks like blue-green drops of water circling around an opening. It's white at the bottom, just above where we are, circling around Tyrrellian outside of Earth's atmosphere. When you look up through it, you can see up on the other end of it, something up there. What you can see is a pale blue void, radiant light, brighter than anything that a star can put out. We're going to move on the omnipresent first word, or sound. Tyrrellian's pointing upward, and he starts to move upward, and we move with him. I am going up ahead of him and moving up through the opening to join with Satnam, to stand by his side. And I'm an Atma spherical, running a body that looks like me. And beside him is another being. This is a white gown on, a Caucasian looking with long blonde hair to his shoulders. No facial features. This is a top silent mentor. And when you look into his face, you see levels of galaxies spinning. This is how they think and view things. Above this form is a radiant Atma, 4 times larger than what we are, twice as many layers to it. And we're moving up through this and going into this pale blue atmosphere. And suddenly we're there. The sound in this place that doesn't look like it has anything in it, just this pale blue light. When I say pale, I mean it's brilliantly bright compared to energy in the lower worlds, but pale blue. It can be pale golden, it can be whatever you want it to be, but it's generally this way. And we're moving at a great speed in a circle of beings around Turelian into the depth of this void until you cannot see the vortex below us. It fades and vanishes. And in the distance you begin to see a bright flash of light. And as we approach it, it grows until you realize you're looking at this luminous white sandy beach running against these crystalline trees that look like jungle trees made of clear crystalline things. And the beach goes as far as you can see in every direction, and way in the distance you can see it begins to curve, indicating that where we're approaching has a round circumference to it. And then you look down and realize your bare feet are wiggling in this sand, glowing a foot above the sand. You look behind you, see Turelian standing in this pale blue void, smiling at you. And to the left on the sand is Ramu, the right Opelum, Etta and Din are here. These are Drans made of silica-based in their lives on Earth. Here they are Atmas, hovering above bodies they're showing you. They have about 3 feet long from the root of their tail to their nose. The tail is glowing like crystal opal in bright sunlight. They have dexterous fingers and hands like a human. They're not a lizard, but they look kind of like a salamander. But not like that at all. So when you go into the Emerald Doorway book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy, you'll see exactly what Etta looks like. Cute, adorable, feisty, and courageous. And he's a master teacher, and so is his wife, Din. And so they go with us on these journeys. I have been friends with Etta and Din for over 100,000 Earth years. I trust them with my life, and they aren't human. The forms they have are not human. Silica-based, not carbon-based like humans. Even these Drens have Sayre's DNA in them. Sayres consider them a much more highly evolved race of beings that work for the source behind all life in the lower worlds of time and space in a very unique, special, rare way. Turelian's form that you see here, standing offshore of this beach where our feet are wiggling in the sand, is showing you a body form he once had over 1 billion years ago back on Earth. Well, not on Earth, but in a home world. And their whole race 1 billion years ago immortalized this body by dissolving the bonds between the DNA and storing it in one of their teardrops of the Atma. When he wants to present a body or even make one you could go up and touch, he draws from the omnipresent you, fills the DNA pattern, instantly manifests this body. He does not have the burden of pushing a physical body around, going to the bathroom, or eating. He is here showing us, because we have Sayre's DNA in our bodies on Earth, what our potential is. He doesn't draw it on a blackboard or teach it in a classroom. He does it telepathically by example, so that the hue moves through us in what they know, and eventually imparts how to do it to us. And so he serves as an example in this way. Now, you reach down and pick up some of this luminous sand in your hand, and you realize it's polished diamond-like things. From here on out, when you see beaches and trees and things like that, in the worlds above the void, they're not made of matter, DNA. They're not made of molecules and atoms from the lower worlds. They are comprised in manifested forms from the pure hue itself, which is non-nuclear and non-atomic in nature. The sound here is like millions of men and women's voices singing the hue on multiple levels. It vibrates around us everywhere, under our feet. You look behind you and it looks like that pale blue light is an ocean surrounding a floating landmass, but it's not water. Turellian walks up to the beach, lifts up in the air. We all levitate with him. The spherical beings we are, hovering above those forms, fly over the top of the jungle trees. And in the distance, you can see a long, snow-covered mountain range. And at the base, a crystalline-type palace set against its base. A brown, moss-covered path winding up to this big pillars that go up big steps into a, well, you could say it's a throne room or something. And then down below us, we see a fountain. And it is a fountain about 15 feet across, scalloped edges made of a white alabaster-like stone, coming out of a floor that's about 1,000 feet across or 100 feet across, hard to say. But it's very big, and it's like a white marble as well. Surrounding this are concentric layers, ever widening, of botanical plants and gardens. The fountain has a statue of Satnam in it, standing on a little pedestal inside the fountain. It has a circular base, and there's a white marble seat surrounding this fountain that has 12 scrolled legs made of stone. So you could sit by the fountain and allow this white golden light that's coming down into it to come into you. The statue of Satnam is about 6 feet tall, maybe. Bronze-skinned, bald head, gold eyes, radiant. He looks like he's from India, but he's not. And he's got a little white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare ankles. Strong of build, bare-chested, standing there, with his palms open, pointing down. There's a white shaft of golden light coming down into this form, pouring through his hands and filling this bowl. It's dropping over the edge of these scalloped edges in a luminous, shimmering sheet of white golden light. And as you look at it, you realize that some of this light is filling 12 cups on golden hooks around this fountain edge. They're lifting off those hooks and then coming above your head and pouring them down the throat of this energy body that looks like you. And it goes up through the top of your head. You look up smiling, goes into the white core of your being hovering above it and makes it brighter. This has to do with beginning to remember your life as a being beyond the void, above the lower worlds of time and space. When you look down at the fountain with his right hand on this scalloped edge of this fountain is Satnam, the actual being. And he floats up in the air and greets us with his right hand held open outward up. So he's giving us permission to pass through this realm and go further. We are in the 5th realm, the 1st realm above the void. There are birds coming out of these jungle trees behind us that come up and float next to each person. They look like a blue jay with long V-shaped split tails and 2 sets of bird wings, like a dragonfly, but these are birds. Bulbous blue eyes, and they're singing the hue, male and female, with Atmas hovering above them, just like us. These aren't the type of things you would see manifested on Earth as animal or plant life or anything like that. And so they're welcoming us. And then you see a staircase appear, circular staircase that comes up to the top of this fountain. And we're going to move Turellian first. He's going to go up into this, above the statue of Satnam, into the center of this shaft of white light. And we're going to join him there. And then we're shot upward. The next thing we see is an opening in the atmosphere of Satnam's realm. And we come into a place that looks like a much brighter pale blue light, cobalt light blue. And there's a huge floating landmass in the center of this blue atmosphere. There's nothing else here. There's no moons or planets or suns or stars whatsoever. And as we move through this opening and Satnam's realm vanishes below us, we realize we were hovering above 6 snow-covered mountain peaks looking down, and they're in a circle. And down in the valley floor between them is a white marble-like floor, an island. And around it is a blue-green luminous lake. In the center of that floor of white marble-like stone or alabaster, whatever you want to call it, is a pedestal about 4 feet tall, made of blue lapis lazuli, a golden laced blue stone. That's what it appears like. And it's got curved edges, and hovering above it is a 4 foot in diameter, blue glass-like crystal sphere, not touching it, hovering above it. In the center of this sphere is a radiant blue cobalt star, gleaming in a void of space within this glass sphere. Down into it is a white shaft of golden light. It goes down through this star, down the base of this pedestal, in the center of this floating landmass, and goes into a hollowed-out chamber inside the interior. You look up and realize around Turelian, you're looking out into the horizon as far as you can see, and you can see a much brighter, radiant, white, luminous beach surrounding the entire circumference of this place. When you look to the left of the western mountain, on a lower plateau, is a blue glass-like administration tower. It extends out of a 1,000-foot in diameter marble floor, smooth sides transparent, to an oval dome about 2/3 the way up it and up to a minaret point. There's a shaft of white golden light coming down into it. This is the pure hue from source. In the blue atmosphere that surrounds us, you can see a white golden light laced behind it, supporting it. In the tower is a fountain. The fountain comes out of a white marble circular floor in that oval section, 2/3 of the way up the tower. And there's a shaft of white golden light coming down into it, filling it up, and it's dropping in a gleaming, glistening gold white sheet down the shaft of this tower. There are 3 levels of marble seats, each one a little wider, a little bigger, and there are a number of master teacher beings sitting or standing watching us. These are beings who teach at different facilities in what is called the Hue Expansionary Academy. This is where we are. At the base of this white marble floor that this tower comes out of are white roadways running straight as an arrow, like the spokes of a bicycle tire, in 360 degrees, straight out to the ocean where they end. The western roadway has 2 teaching facilities in it at the beginning, one to the left, and has a tall silo, like a grain silo, ivory-colored tower, and beautiful garden around it. The one to the right has a clearing with a massive pyramid, golden-sided, quartz-capped. We're going to go into both of these today. When you look to this silo-type tower, you find that we're walking into an oval door. Turelian's walking through, and myself, Anna, and others. And when you come inside it, you see there's this big round blue disc like a stage. And then there's this semicircle of these white marble seats going up, and there are masterful beings sitting in them, male and female. And Anna, as an Atma, you've asked to go stand on that stage. So this is what you do. Turelian points upward, and you can see this massive, giant golden sword with a huge, big hilt, sword hilt, where you grasp it. And it's just hovering there, glowing. And you are an Atma hovering above this body form. You reach up with your right index finger, and this weight of this sword comes down onto your finger. The sound is beyond comprehension. It comes from the ocean of sound and light itself. It's vibrating through the sword, entering your finger and enveloping your entire body. This is this 2-edged sword of Source or Prime Creator. and it has two sides to it. When we keep it balanced, the positive and negative energies are kept whole, so we can manifest through this device that which is only beneficial and uplifting to all life. If you turn it sideways or turn it wrong, you're going to get taught severe lessons. You will get taught severe lessons because it is not to be abused. And you're going to find, Anna, you're able to hold this up in the end of your finger, and as the weight comes down on you, you realize that you have the energy surrounding you to support it. And then the sword moves upward and stays there. I will be right back. Keep looking at that sword. It's good to be experiencing this for a period of time, because this will run down through your forms you have on different dimensional levels and down into Anna Balboa in her cabin, into the electromagnetic field that surrounds your body, from the electromagnetic field that surrounds you, the Atma, hovering near the ceiling, where we started this journey. So the experience of this sword is this way. It will move down into the center of the white core of your being as a spherical being and dissolve into the center. Then it will move down into the spinal column of your body and dissolve into the spinal cord, and also into the white core of the center of an energy point that's relative to your body, what you might call a chakra. This has to do with being able to comprehend and remember what you knew once upon a time about the realities above the void. So up there in space, you're in this chamber, and you suddenly find yourself outside of it, with myself and Torelli and some master teachers walking along a path, taking the right turn into the clearing where the pyramid is. The Atma you are is hovering above this form. This is the form that looks like you but perfect that you show to other people. There's circular, half-moon shaped doors that are blue glass that open in the side of the four-sided pyramid. And out of it comes a little master teacher named Lightsey. Fu Manchu hat, little Fu Manchu beard, little symbols all over like cosmic symbols. About 5'5" or 6", short. Don't underestimate this guy. He's considered a flawless guardian. And he waves with his right hand for us to go inside this opening. He walks ahead of us. He's the guardian of this device. And inside, it is massive inside. There's a foot-thick glowing golden floor. The sides of the walls of this chamber are glowing. In fact, everything, including you, produces its own light here. There are no suns or moons or stars here. There's no fatigue, no tiredness. No one needs to sleep here. These are not physical forms. This is the real you. In the center of this chamber is this massive silver luminous tree with roots going down into this golden quartz. It's carrying energy down through it, through the bottom of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, and into the lower worlds, through Satnam's realm, through the void, down through the etheric, mental, causal, astral, and physical worlds, all the way to Earth, to 3 pyramids stationed, 2 at the bottom of Earth's oceans, 1 inside a hollowed-out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas, that are on and running now. This energy moves through that, out into the atmosphere of Earth, and continues out into space. Eventually, It comes back to the vortex core of the Milky Way galaxy and goes up that shaft of light. It is in constant motion. This tree of life is bigger than any tree you'd find on Earth. And each single needle coming out from these beautiful, perfect branches all the way up to its point, which is right near the very top of the point of the pyramid, each needle, if you look into it, will show you a particular location, planet, or place throughout the multidimensional creation, either upward or below it. Turelian, with Lightsea's nod, we're all going to move right through the branches of this tree. We pass right through them, and we go inside this vibrantly powerful golden shaft of white light, gold light, until we're sitting in the middle of it, hovering in the middle of it around Turelian. It's so big we look like the size of a dime to a dinner plate, just in the center, all of us. And then we're shot upward. The next thing you realize is you're coming out of an even more massive trunk of the same kind of tree, in a realm many dimensions above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy and above Satnam's realm. And you're coming out of a tree into an energy field that's massive power, moving like gargoyles and moving and changing all around you. It's a massive being that floats towards us, bigger than anyone you've seen. Many layers of levels to the structure of this being with a white radiant core. And he approaches us. My recommendation is this. Ask him to be friends. Offer your friendship. This being regulates the rod power from the ocean of sound and light above here, where Prime Creator's source exists. And so this is a power that is in all of creation, and he is aware and running it. This is referred to as the tree of life. You can only imagine what the needles to this tree go to if you look into one. We find ourselves going inside the trunk of this tree, and the next instant we're shot up an even more massive shaft of white golden light with this sound humming in it, and we come out into a vast void of a blue golden light so bright it takes your breath away, even though you don't breathe here. And surrounding a core, a center, looks like the stars in a galaxy. And there's a void in the center of this galaxy-like structure that has a white island on it. The sound here is of billions of men and women's voices singing the hue in perfect harmony on many levels until it becomes one round whole tone vibrating around us. And we move through these stars and discover they are individual Atmas like us, much brighter, larger. We move through it until we come into this void. In the center, there is a massive being hovering above this white island, and there's this empty void of this bright blue light around it, and all these other beings circle it like stars circle the center of a galaxy. The next thing we know, our feet are wiggling in the sand of this white island. And the beings we are, the Atma, is looking into this massive being hovering there. It is much bigger than all of us put together. Many more layers of teardrop-shaped lights covering the spectrum of light from a white core to a yellow, to an orange, to green, to blue, to lavender, to violet, to golden light around it. And when we look at ourselves, we realize we are like a drop of this same structure in a mighty ocean of it. This is what we call Prime Creator's source. It is not a being sitting on a throne. It is the nexus of all Atmas and all souls everywhere that has a focus point where you can speak with this center. And we all make it up and comprise, we are parts of it. So we are source beings. And it will speak to you, Anna, and you will have a conversation with it, private for you. You will not find yourself worshiping this here. You don't have to beg for anything here. You find that you identify yourself as being that which you're looking at, part of it. We do not stay long here, your body back on earth would perish. It's too far removed from the lower worlds of time and space. But then you realize when you look out into this 7 arms of like a galaxy spiraling around it, you are one of the beings hovering here. You never left. And then there's another identical one hovering above the form you're showing each other here. And you find yourself now coming out of the tree in the pyramid where Lightsey is the master teacher there in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. The next instant you find your feet wiggling in more brilliant diamond-like sand at the end of the western roadway. When you look inland, you can see the Hue Expansion Ray Academy Tower and the 6 white mountain peaks. And you reach down and pick up some of the sand, you realize it's polished diamonds, pure and perfect, radiating light. It dissolves in your hand, which is energy. Goes up through your smiling face, goes into the white core of your being hovering above that body, brightens it, and then it starts lighting up different teardrops out in the layers that surround you. Things that have been dormant for maybe billions of years in the lower worlds. And then you see the energy beam down from you in a shaft of white golden light. And we're going to follow that, Torellian, myself, and the others, and we're going to go down this ocean that surrounds the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Looks like water. We're moving way out into this ocean. It's not water. And Torellian goes downward and plunges into its depths, and we follow. And you are bringing this experience back to your form, all the way back to Earth, through where Torellian and us are hovering around him near Earth's, without the polar ice cap, the barren moon, the sun, and then you're hovering near the ceiling of your cabin, and there is a spherical, kind of a toroidal field of electromagnetic energy around the being hovering there, and this journey is being placed in there, stored there. And then it's being beamed down and stored in the same field that surrounds your physical body. And then the energy moves through you. It goes down into 2 of Earth's deepest oceans to pyramids with fountains in them of Satnam's statue. One hollowed out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas, and it goes out to a bigger pyramid stationed in our solar system between 2 stable asteroids. That's in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet between Mars and Jupiter that was blown up long ago. And it goes across space to other pyramids and connects to the core of the Milky Way galaxy and goes up that shaft of light, and it never stops moving. This is the word, the sound. Source supports all dimensions, all life everywhere. It is non-nuclear, it is not atomic in nature. And so, you will endeavor to remember this journey. And since it's recorded, you will be sent it. And then I recommend that you go on it again later, with a cup of tea or something. You're calm, you're not worried about anything. And then play it back and go on it again. There's a lot that went on here that is very relevant to your goodwill, your uplifting transformation, let's put it that way. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you, Scott.
And we'll go out to the, next time we'll go out to the Emerald Star Cruiser, and if you sit you down in that white chair. Again, it's not the first time.
The first.
There's a lot that went on now that will help you in that regard. My pleasure, as always.
Okay. Did you hear from
Mark?
Oh,
yeah, I gotta call him back about that property I'm trying to acquire here, but let's not talk about that during your session. I will end the session now, the recording, and then we can talk. Because this is going up on my YouTube channel for the benefit of others. See you later.